get little rabbit ready. Okay, everyone start getting your stuff. We start art lessons in 1 minute. Let's see, so we're going to get I wanted to make sure you have it ready on there. Get papers, pencils, if you've made some strong coffee, tea. If you have watercolors, we're welcome to do those. We also need some dark colored markers, any kind. I'm going to show you how they work. So grab those, brushes, water, ready to go. And when it's 1 o'clock, we'll start straight away. So come on in, class. Are you ready? What do you think we're doing today? What? Are we doing coffee?
It's warm.
Yeah. Hey guys, welcome to art class. We're so glad you're back with us today. Tate's here helping me again, and I've got Keaton and Michaela and Talia all helping look at your comments and do the filming. And so just let us know. Go ahead and gather your supplies. Today, if you looked at the class list, which I post at the end of each art week, for the next following week, we needed some strong coffee or tea. We needed some paper, some heavy paper, watercolor paper if you had it. We need some pencils. We need some markers. If you have some brushes too and water, just because anytime we have watercolor in those, we're going to use those. So gather all those and we're going to talk about what we're going to do today. So today is one of my very favorite subjects. I called it a good hair day, H-A-R-E, for a little pun. But I love to draw rabbits. I love to draw bunnies. I do this all the time. It's one of my very favorite subjects. And it's an appropriate time of year. We're getting close to Easter. Lots of people are thinking of rabbits and bunnies, aren't they? They're probably also thinking, what else do you think of when you think of Easter? Chocolate. So, chocolate eggs? No? Chocolate bunnies? What? Just chocolate and period? So, if you could have any chocolate egg, let's see, do you like solid chocolate? Do you like marshmallow inside the chocolate? Caramel inside the chocolate? No? No? Let's see, caramel, marshmallow, or solid chocolate? Peanut butter. There you go. Tell us which ones you like. Oh, Talia's a vote for peanut butter. I'm a vote for caramel. Michaela's a peanut butter. Are you peanut butter? Egg, chocolate egg, caramel egg, or what was the other one I said?
Peanut.
Oh, marshmallow egg. Okay, now that we're all thinking food and yummy and sweets, let's start thinking bunnies again. So I'm going to walk you through the steps on drawing a bunny.
Votes for caramel.
What? Not a lot of votes for caramel?
No, a lot.
Oh, good. Strong work. Way to go on the caramel.
Boo.
So we're going to walk through the bunny, and then we're going to talk about using the coffee. So you ready to draw a bunny with me? Grab your pen or your pencil, and let's go. We're going to start off on our paper. You can turn it any way you want to, and we're going to start off, if you were able to watch the bird lesson, remember how I talked everything is broken down into shapes. When you're thinking about drawing, you're going to break them down into shapes. So we're going to start out again with basically the bunny body. We're going to kind of just think a circle like this. It's almost an egg shape. Maybe it's caramel or peanut butter or any kind of yummy shape. So let me darken that up so you can see that. But I'm a little bit egg-shaped right there. And then I'm going to put my head right here, which is going to be a circle. So we're going to put that right there. Okay? Again, do you see some similarities to the bird? We had that teardrop shape on the bird. We have those going right there. And what made the bird distinctively a bird, one of the things, was a beak. Well, a bunny doesn't have a beak, but what does a bunny have? Well, it has a nose, but what else really? Ears. So let's put a big long ear, and it's going to be something like this, right here. And we're going to come out like that. You see that long, elongated shape, a little open. Now, just like when we did the cubes or squares, when something's behind something, it's going to repeat that shape. And so we're going to put a second ear right here. So see how I tuck that behind? It's the same shape. If we were doing to make it 3D, like we were doing the squares, we would have done that and connect the lines. So now back here, we're going to talk about that big hind leg. Now, another thing, rabbits have those big legs that help them to jump really far. So we've got the body right here. We've got the head. We've got our ears. Let's put this big leg. So I'm going to basically put a circle about this size inside. Look down here, kind of right here. Yep, right there. I'm going to put that big shape right there. And then, you got that? Now we're going to start kind of connecting things and making things happen. But first of all, we've got this shape right here, the body. You want to show yours? Why don't you stand back and show yours? Show where your body is, right here on your bunny, right there. We've got the head in the circle. We've got the ears up there, and we've got that hind leg, and you're going to see how that comes together. Now, we're going to add the foot, because what happens is that hind leg comes under, and it squunches, and the foot basically comes right here. Tate, you want to give me that foot? See how that foot comes right here? Like that. Very good. Now, we're going to add, so we've got this shape. You see how it's kind of squishy and long and comes out like that? We're going to add a front foot right here. So we're going to come between this foot and the head. We're going to put a line out right there. And we're going to make a little paw. See how I come out like that? And then come in like that. So we came down and then make a little paw on the bottom. So it's a little wider. So it's two lines that come down. And right there. How's everyone doing? So, do you remember how we connected the head on the neck on the bird? We're going to make that neck come up here. So we're going to go like that. Yep. And then we're going to do the same at the top. Yep. And then what happens is a rabbit's face isn't actually real round like that. It's going to have a little bit of a point. So we're going to adjust that right now. So we're going to bring that out like this. Are you starting to see our bunny come together? And so what are we missing up here, Tate? We're missing eye and eye. So we're only seeing the one side of the rabbit's head, so we're only going to need one eye. So right about here, so halfway between where the nose is and the ear, we're going to put an eye right there. And what I do is I put a little line like that, and then I put a little dot underneath. And you end up with that eye shape right there. We're going to put a little nose in, so about right here on the end, we've got our little nose. And then what are we missing right here? Our fluffy bunny tail. So now you can do it just as a circle right here. Yeah, you can do it as, sometimes I like to make it look like hair by adding those little lines like that. You can get that. So you want to make your cottontail, Peter Cottontail? You can also, we're going to round this up right here. Yeah. So, and now you have this. Now what's going to happen is we're going to talk about where we're going to put some shading. Oh, there's a question.
Suzanne would like to know if you could show the eye a little bit bigger.
Suzanne, let me show you how I did that eye, and I'll show you up here. I just did a little line like that, and then put a circle in underneath. A bunny's eye is actually kind of like this. If we added some shading in. But when we're doing a quick painting, you get more an eye like that. But this is a quick way to add in an eye this way. So, Tate, you want to come over here and we're going to show some shading? So now lots of people ask during these pieces how to do the shading. And shading in and of itself, really we can build those, and we're going to talk about that when we draw the fruit on Thursday. Really some of those basic shading concepts. But again, if you understand that where it's dark, like where it's in shadow, you can just look at things. So right here, Tate, you're going to be my model. So right here, if you notice underneath Tate's chin, because the light's coming from the top, there's going to be a shadow. So anything that is away from the light is going to be dark. Anything that is toward the light is going to be light. It's kind of a big concept, and it helps to work through those processes. But that is the basic way. So we're going to think about where it's going to be dark or in shadow on the bunny. Is there a question, Talia?
Some people are having a little trouble following the leg.
Okay. Which part on the leg?
The front leg.
The front leg. Okay. When you come down here, you're coming down in these two, and there's your little paw. What happens is the leg kind of comes up a little bit right here and comes down, and all this ends up being right here. And then this is big. So let me shade it a little bit, and I think you'll be able to see that. So Tate, why don't you grab your charcoal, and we're going to shade for you. So this is the closest part to us, this leg that sticks out. So where the leg touches the body is going to be darker. So let's go ahead and add some dark. You can use your pencil, and we're going to do it in the coffee in just a minute. So anywhere that touches against the body, you're not shading this part, you're shading around it. Okay? And we're going to shade up to where that other leg is. Is that making sense? See how that comes in? Yep. And then the bottom of the foot is going to be dark. So we're going to shade down in there. I put a little extra toe in there, right there. You got that? The back of this leg, because this is going to underneath, that's going to be darker. And the bottom of the neck is going to be in where it makes that little triangle. You can start to see where the rabbit's head is. Are you starting to see our rabbit come to life? Now back here, because we're at the back, we'll shade that a little bit. How's everyone doing? Are we doing good? Okay. Now what's neat is this, we see the front of the ear, and this side we actually see the inside of the ear. It's as though you popped your inside of your ear up. So rabbits have a little indent right here that is darker. So we can put that on there. And then because this ear is back, we're going to shade right there a little bit. We're going to make that ear a little bit darker. How's everyone's rabbit coming? Are we doing good? We have any questions? Everyone's doing, y'all are rock stars. This is awesome. I'm so excited. So let me kind of go over the parts, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the coffee. There's a lot more shading you can do, but I'm going to show you this, and I'm going to show you on the coffee on the table, and I'm going to try and hold it up to show you, even though it's a little drippy, because I want to be here with both of these to to show you how to do this. But you can work and play with these shadows. It can get very subtle. You can keep working with it. You can play around, but always keep the idea when you're shading, what doesn't have light is darker. So things that are in a crease, things that are close to the ground, things that are underneath, like your chin. And I'll let y'all finish up kind of getting your drawings together. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why we're using coffee today. So, coffee, do you like to drink coffee, Tate? Are you sure? Okay, well, Tate apparently has a newly found love of coffee, which I had no idea until this very moment. However, I do love coffee. And one of the things that coffee has, which it has in common with other types of food and beverages, are tannins. So tannins are found in coffee, in tea, in wine, in grapes, blueberries, beets, anything that sometimes when you eat it, strawberries, it might stain your fingers or stain your teeth or stain your clothes. That's one of the things. So anything that creates a stain can also be used as a dye, which means it's going to leave color on a paper. It's going to leave color on a fabric. People use natural items like berries and herbs and coffees and fruits to dye yarn all the time. You can use, this has been something that's been around for hundreds and thousands of years. Some of the very first paintings ever documented are in Lascaux, France, in the caves. And they used just ground up rocks because they were making a stain. And so those things can be used to create a dye. One of the reasons I wanted to bring in coffee was because you might not have some supplies handy at your house. And even if you do, sometimes it's fun to find out that something you didn't know can be a work of art too. So I also asked you to bring in some dark colored markers. And I'm going to talk about those for a minute. Oh, hang on 2 seconds, baby. You could have grabbed a felt tip pen or a permanent marker, like a Sharpie. Those are alcohol-based markers. Anytime if you open up a marker and it has a smell to it that is a little strong, it's probably an alcohol-based marker. That means it's permanent, and I'll show you how that looks. So if I put that mark on here, over here, and then I take some water. See how nothing happens? It does not move. Other markers, which are really common in a lot of craft markers, are water-based markers. You can have these for lettering, you can have Crayola, you can have all sorts of those non-staining markers. Well, the difference is, let's see what happens when I add water. So I'll put a mark of the black right here, and I'm going to put a mark of the brown. I think you'll be surprised at the color black. So here's a mark of the brown, and let me get some water. Can you put those lids on for me, babe? Okay. Grab a little water, and let's see what happens. It's kind of a greeny blue. Can you see how that moves? Now what happens is, you can also use these in limited use for some watercolor type markers. You can end up adding them in pictures and then adding a little water to them and see what happens as it moves around. Let me show you the brown. Do you remember how we moved our watercolor out? We watched how when we added water, you see how it's doing the same thing with our markers? But again, I'll try that permanent marker again. Oh, I have a little bit of the water base. You see how that won't move. So depending on what you use with your picture, you're going to see what happens. It may move into some of your coffee, or if you have a permanent marker, it's going to stay as an outline. And I'll use both on here. So I'm going to blot that so I'll be able to put it up. Let me move my coffee out of the way. Aren't these napkins fun? Yes, Talia said there's a question.
What effect will pen have on the drawing?
So if you have a ballpoint pen, it will not move. It's a different type of ink, and so it's going to act just like a permanent marker in the sense. If you have a felt tip pen, some felt tips, just a few, will have a water soluble quality, so they will move or they'll bleed a little bit. Most felt tips tend to have a permanency. Also, the longer your ink, because ink is different than paint, but the longer the ink stays on the paper, the more it will set. So watercolor is always active. Remember how we made our own watercolors and we just add water to it and it'll come to life and we can use it to paint? That's called active. You can activate it. But what happens is ink can be active for a little bit on your paper and then it will become permanent. So even water-based markers can end up, the longer they stay on there, they won't activate because ink and paint are two different mediums. So, you ready to add some coffee? Not to drink it, to add it to our picture. Okay, what we're going to do is I'm going to try and put this up here. Tate, you can work on the table right there. And I'm going to show you what you can do. You can come to your picture and you can use your pen to outline. Now, I want you to notice how I'm outlining. I'm doing little strokes because I want it to kind of feel like hair on our bunny. I want it to feel a little bit. See how I'm moving those strokes? I'll come a little bit closer. Normally I wouldn't sketch that way, but see how it starts feeling like hair on our rabbit? I'm going to sketch that around. And I am using a permanent marker, so this outline is going to stay. I'm going to keep, what I'm doing is I'm outlining not our original full circles. I'm just outlining what we need, our information we need for our rabbit. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to do this. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them while we're doing this, because this is a great time. That's why I love doing these live, because it gives you the opportunity to ask me some questions. You can also do that in the comments. And of course, we always post all the videos directly after to Facebook on @MakePaducah, and we also post them to YouTube at Kisa Houseman. Talia has a question.
You have said that coffee and tea work, but Tatiana would like to know if you could use cocoa instead, like for hot chocolate.
Tatiana, cocoa does not have tannins in it, so you could probably use it today for the purpose because it will stain a little bit, but you're going to see that when we use the coffee, it actually will kind of look like paint. It will dry like watercolor. The hot cocoa mix is going to look very, very chalky on your picture, and it's not going to have that same staining effect. Tea is a little bit more opaque than the coffee. The coffee is a little bit more what we would call translucent, that the light comes through it, or the white from the paper comes through it a little bit more. So keep outlining your bunny, but you can use it for today's purposes, but it's not ideal. And again, if you don't want to waste any coffee, you can always take the old coffee grounds, rebrew those again just a little bit, because you're not going to be drinking it. And that way you can enjoy a tasty cup of coffee. Oops. How's everyone doing? We getting our outlines on there? I'm outlining this upside down. Tate, you got yours outlined? Tate is outlining his in the water-based marker. So, does everyone, yep, so he has his in his water-based. So, does everyone remember when water touches this, do you mind if I touch on your paper? No, hold it up. That was good. That was good. But when hold it to the camera. When we add that water, you see what's going to happen? So it's kind of a neat effect. If you didn't want to get the watercolors, or if you didn't have watercolors and you're doing a smaller picture, use your water-based markers and then come in and introduce. So, you ready to paint with some coffee? We're going to put the coffee where we have our dark areas where we talked about our shading. If you put your pencil, you can layer the coffee right on top. We're going to put it on here, honey. But on your picture, so we're going to put coffee. So right there, remember in there. Now it's going to go on a little bit lighter. The best way to use coffee is to put it on, let it dry, put it on, let it dry, put it on. It's similar to watercolor. Coffee will also, just like watercolor, dry lighter than when it goes on. So I'm going to start with, can you see my coffee going on? See how we get that in there? And I'm putting it in my, right there. Now, is anyone, I'm hoping it's not going to bleed too much because usually it'll start running, but I'm not putting very much coffee. Now, it's very subtle. Can you see that on the camera? Oh, excellent job. That's what you want to happen. So see, Tate's, because he used the water base, you're going to get to have that water base marker moving into your coffee. It's going to create a really neat shadow effect. So I'm going to come, remember we did the bottom of the foot right there. Did our bottom. How's everyone doing? Remember, the shadows go where the light falls away. So anything that's going to be touching close to the body, right in there. Now the neat thing is you might notice on your paper, if you come in a little bit, sometimes water will erase some of your pencil lines too. How's yours coming, Tate? Oh, I love it. Can I show them yours so they can see? So this is when he's adding the coffee. See how his water-based marker is working in there? See the difference of the water base with the permanent? So both work. You can use either one, and if you have a pen, yours is going to look more like this, but this is neat to know. I'll keep painting in. So now, just keep...
I would like to know what happens if you use Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid. So Kool-Aid will stain. You can use Kool-Aid to dye your hair, although I'm sorry, parents, I just told your kids that, just in case you didn't know. But Kool-Aid does have some pigments in it. They are not natural pigments. These are actually natural pigments. You can use but remember, it's not a natural pigment. It will also get very chalky on your paper. But you know what? While we're inside, play around, see what happens. That would be a really neat experiment. Do a little research, find out which foods in your house have tannins in them and see what those look like. And then think of other foods that might not be natural, might not have those natural tannins, and see what kinds of marks those make. You know, an interesting thing, when I was in college, I was an art major, obviously, and art supplies can be really expensive, especially when you're getting into the more professional supplies. Some of the pigments are really expensive. Some of the particular items are really expensive. And so sometimes I couldn't quite make my supply list each semester, so I had to get really creative. And you know how it goes. God just prepares you for things like this, so you know how to use things like coffee and how to use tea and how to use all sorts of interesting things around your house. And so now's a great time to get a little lesson in that and find out what might happen when you use those supplies. So you can continue to fill your rabbit in. Now, one thing that I love on my rabbits are spots. And you can draw your spots in. So I like to give my rabbit maybe a spot up here. I like to give it dark spots. Do you like to give your rabbit spots, Tate? You can give your rabbit spots anywhere you want and as many spots as you want. I might give it one on its leg. Can you see what I'm doing? Might give it another little spot right there. Now what I'm going to do to show you how you can do it, I'm going to do those spots, but I'm going to use one of the watercolor markers in here. You can use a permanent marker and still fill that in. I'm going to do this upside down. Can you see this, Keaton? Okay. And then I'm going to use the coffee. While I have that, I'm going to darken that up a little bit. Oh, Tate, that looks fantastic. Do you want to add spots on yours? No? He is going with a non-spotted rabbit. Use our coffee right here. So, does anybody have any questions? Taking a little bit of that color and moving it around. Now the neat thing is, as this dries, you can keep adding more and more. Add a little ground right there while I have it. As your coffee dries, you can come back in. You can add more and more, and it'll darken up. See how the next time I go over, can you see how it's darker on the first layer? There's the first layer, and there's the second layer, how it gets darker. You can keep adding that and coloring in. So now my challenge to you is to see if you can continue to layer the coffee, play with your markers. You can still come in with the, if you have a marker that's not water-based and not moving, just come in and shade those in. You can do that with doing lines. You can color it all the way in. And then what I have seen in so many of your drawings is how you have added details. And I saw the most beautiful lampposts in some of the perspective drawings yesterday, and how you have, and birch trees, and how you have taken backgrounds and added backgrounds and sunsets and things like that. So now what you can do is, if you want to continue to play, keep layering your coffee on. You can do beautiful, beautiful pieces. There are actually professional artists that use coffee as their medium. And the more you layer it on, let it sit, let it dry, add another layer, let it sit, let it dry, add another layer, it'll get darker and darker. And if your coffee is even stronger than mine is, it'll work. A little secret tip, which I did not have and I didn't go buy because I wanted to be just like everyone else, not adding supplies. Instant coffee works actually the best at this. So, but I used some brewed coffee that I already had at home. But that's really what there is to make our cute little bunny rabbit today. You can play with it now that you know what you can do with water-based markers, how permanent markers work, how an outline works with a drawing, and how to put all these things together. Then you can do your own bunny. So I would like to encourage you to add whatever you want to. Make an Easter bunny. Tate, can you hold yours up, baby? There you go. Make an Easter bunny. Have fun. Eat some chocolate eggs if you have them. I don't have any chocolate eggs. I think I'll have to figure out how to get some, don't you think? Yeah. So, and that's pretty much what we have for our Good Hair Day today. Tomorrow we're going to be doing Hakusai's Great Wave. Super exciting. He is an amazing Japanese artist. He's basically the Leonardo da Vinci of Japanese art. And so we're going to talk about him tomorrow and do some fun things. What you need for tomorrow are some heavyweight papers, some pencils, some round items to trace, things like quarters, plastic lids, a glass you might have. We're going to be using that to make circles and different things. Marker tops. You want anywhere from about a quarter size up to 3 inches. And so it doesn't matter what they are. We're just going to use them to trace the circles. And anything you have to make color. If you have watercolor, that's what I'm going to be using. But anything you have to make color, and we're going to put that in. And with that note, I think we're done with today's art lesson. Remember, my favorite quote is Philip James Bailey, art is man's nature, nature is God's art. We'll see you tomorrow.